After I pulled 90-hour weeks for an entire quarter, I'm talking 0 weekends, sleep-deprived, living off caffeine and spite, we closed $285 million in revenue. Not good revenue, record-breaking. Company history, never done before revenue. The kind of numbers executives love to slap into decks and flex on earnings calls. So my director walks into my office, smiling like he's about to give me a promotion. Slides a glossy little card across my desk like it's a big moment. I flip it over. A $7 restaurant voucher, not even a real restaurant, one of those generic partner cafes you see at corporate conferences. The kind that barely covers half a sandwich. And across the front, in thick blue marker, he'd written, "Great things come to those who hustle!" Exclamation point and all. I stared at it for 4 seconds, not shocked, not angry, just clear. Clear enough to remember sleeping on a couch in the women's bathroom while we finalized a merger across 4 time zones. Clear enough to picture my team on yet another Sunday morning Zoom, dead-eyed but still delivering. Clear enough to realize this little piece of plastic was the most honest thing he'd given me all year. I smiled, big, friendly, professional. "You're absolutely right," I said, holding the voucher up like it was fine art. "Great things really do come to those who hustle." He relaxed instantly, missed the edge completely. "I knew you'd understand," he said. "It's not always about the paycheck, Olivia. It's about being part of something bigger." "Oh, trust me," I said. "I feel very connected to something bigger right now." He laughed, tapped my desk twice, and walked out, task completed, morale boosted, checkbox checked. The second the door clicked shut, I opened my laptop. First file, Q3 revenue report, the one I built over 21 straight days. Stress-tested, polished, and engineered to tell leadership exactly the story they wanted. $285 million booked, 26% above target, record margins, record retention, record upsells. Every single data point came from systems I built while half the exec team told me I was too detail-oriented. Next, I turned on the scanner. Place the voucher face down. Scan, perfect digital copy of my $7, thanks for sacrificing your health reward. I dragged the image next to the revenue slide. Left. $285 million Q3 company revenue right. $7 appreciation meal, select cafes only, perfect alignment. The email subject wrote itself. Q3 results and transition notice, great things and those who hustle. Then I wrote my resignation. 6 paragraphs, clean, calm, no drama, just timelines, responsibilities, end date. Above the attachments, I added 1 sentence. "Thank you for the opportunity to contribute to a historic quarter." The attached visual best captures how this experience shaped my understanding of organizational values. Recipients: CEO, CFO, COO, VP Ops. VP HR, and of course, Connor, my director, hovered over send for 2 seconds. No hesitation, just making sure I remembered how control felt. Then I clicked. 4:17 p.m. By 4:19, my phone started vibrating. Unknown extension. Another. Connor ignored all of it. At 4:28, I shut down my laptop, cleared my desk, dropped my badge on the keyboard, and walked out. I was halfway across the parking lot when I heard it. Olivia, sharp, panicked, dress shoes slapping pavement. I stopped beside my car, breath fogging in the cold, and waited. Because the man who just valued 90-hour weeks at $7 was finally starting to understand how expensive that mistake was about to be. Let me rewind. Here's how it really started. My name's Olivia Carter. I'm 34, and for 8 years I worked as a senior financial ops analyst at Vanguard Solutions Group. On paper, high-growth consulting firm, tech-forward, strategic in reality. We sold expensive software and transformation projects to companies that barely understood them but needed to look innovative to their boards. Internally, we called it damage control. I started in audit. Masters in finance and accounting. I learned how to close books perfectly, forecast accurately, catch problems before they blow up, but I didn't want to just record history, I wanted to shape it, so I joined Vanguard. The place looked like a magazine spread, glass walls, green plants, LED growth starts looping nonstop. My original director, Angela, was legit, brutal honesty, protected her team, pushed back on nonsense, then she left. Enter Connor Hayes. I am 31 years old, MBA, big confidence, minimal scars, first meeting, buzzwords everywhere, operational excellence, performance mindset, real-time leadership visibility, what he didn't say. Anything about capacity, anything about sustainability, anything about humans. Within months, he added weekly dashboards, ad hoc reporting, quick snapshots that weren't quick at all. Workload exploded. We went from intense to insane. By Q3, 90 hours a week. 3 months straight. You don't notice it at first, you just stay late, work weekends, cancel plans. Then suddenly, you haven't cooked in months, friends stop inviting you out, your body feels permanently broken. One night at 2:18 a.m., I woke up with my heart racing so hard I thought I was having a cardiac event. I calmed myself down, then I opened my laptop. That should have been my warning, it wasn't. The warning was the $7 voucher. Here's the truth nobody says out loud: cupcakes aren't appreciated, vouchers aren't recognized. Slogans aren't leadership. They're cheap insulation between executives and accountability. That email didn't burn bridges, it exposed math that didn't add up. And once people see the math, they can't unsee it. Connor chased me into the parking lot that day. HR panicked. Execs scrambled, but the damage wasn't chaos, it was clear, because the most dangerous thing you can do in corporate America isn't yell, it shows receipts, if you've ever worked insane hours, got crumbs instead of respect, been told this is just how it is, hear this clearly. You're not crazy, you're not ungrateful, and you're not wrong for wanting better. That $7 voucher was the best gift I ever got. Not because it mattered, but because it made the truth impossible to ignore. And the moment I stopped ignoring it, everything changed. By the time I pulled out of the parking lot, my phone looked like it was having a nervous breakdown. Missed calls, voicemails stacking up, Slack blowing up like I'd set the building on fire. Connor, HR, an unknown executive extension I'd never seen before. I ignored all of it, not out of spite, out of control. Because here's the thing nobody tells you about moments like that. Once you choose yourself, silence becomes a weapon. I drove home in total silence. No music, no podcasts. Just the sound of my own breathing and the weird calm that comes after you finally stop lying to yourself. That night I slept 9 straight hours. No 2 a.m. heart racing, no dreams about broken formulas. No phantom Slack notifications buzzing in my head. When I woke up, the world didn't end, but vanguards definitely started cracking. At 8:13 a.m. I finally checked my voicemail. Connor sounded different, not confident. Not polished, panicked. Olivia, hey, we really need to talk. The email caused some reactions. HR wants to clarify intent. The CFO has questions. This didn't need to go this far. I didn't need to go this far. That's corporate speak for you, showed everyone what we were hoping would stay quiet. Another voicemail came in right after. HR, measured voice, calm tone, but tight underneath. We'd like to discuss how this situation escalated and explore options for resolution. Translation, please ring the bell. I didn't call back. Instead, I made a real breakfast. Eggs, toast. Coffee that wasn't inhaled while staring at a screen. Then I opened my personal email. Messages were already waiting. Former coworkers, people I barely spoke to. One said, that slide is already being forwarded around. You didn't exaggerate, you just showed it. Another said, I've never seen leadership go this quiet this fast. And my favorite, you just did what everyone wanted to do but was too scared to. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about me anymore. By noon, Connor finally got me on the phone. Let's reset, he said fast, like speed might undo facts. We can look at comp adjustments, a title bump, maybe a senior manager. HR's open to a conversation. I laughed, not mean, not bitter, just honest. You had 8 years to value my work, I said. You chose a voucher. It was symbolic, he snapped. You know that. Exactly, I replied. Symbols tell the truth faster than words. Silence, then the pivot. You embarrassed the leadership. I smiled, even though he couldn't see it. No, I said, I am embarrassed by a system that relies on people not doing the math. He tried guilt next. You put the team in a weird spot. I protected the team, I said, because now the leadership can't pretend they didn't know. That's when his tone changed again, softer, almost pleading. Just tell me what you want. And for the first time, I didn't sugarcoat it. I want out, clean, professional, and I want you to understand this. If you hadn't handed me that voucher, I might have stayed another year destroying myself. He didn't argue after that. Because there's no comeback for truth. They thought I'd apologize, walk it back, delete the image, accept a counteroffer. What they didn't expect was consistency. I didn't post online, I didn't gossip. I didn't explain myself to every curious exec, I just stood by it, and that's what scared them. Because once leadership realized I wasn't panicking, they started asking the real questions. Why were people working 70, 90 hours? Why did turnover spike after Q3? Why did morale tank right after a historic quarter? And suddenly, Connor wasn't the confident director with vision. He was the guy who approved burnout and called it hustle. Here's the funniest part, I didn't destroy anything. I didn't torch relationships, I didn't threaten legal action, I didn't scream in the boardroom. I sent one email with one image, and leadership did the rest to themselves. Because once you put $285 million next to $7, there's no PR spin strong enough to survive that. Because the real twist, I didn't walk away empty-handed. What happened next forced Vanguard to change policies, rewrite recognition programs, and quietly explain to investors why their high-performance culture suddenly looked a lot like organized burnout. And Connor. He didn't lose his job that day, but the clock started ticking. I went back for my 2-week notice, not because they deserved it, but because I did. I wasn't about to let them rewrite the ending and say I stormed out or couldn't handle pressure. Nah. I showed up calm, professional, and completely unbothered, and that messed with them more than anything else. The floor felt different, quieter, careful. People stopped mid-sentence when I walked by, not awkward, aware. Like they'd just realized the walls had ears and receipts. HR didn't look at me like a problem anymore. They looked at me like a mirror. Connor avoided eye contact the first 2 days, then on Thursday he asked if we could talk. Private office, the door was closed, he didn't sit behind his desk. That alone told me everything. I didn't realize how bad it had gotten, he said. I didn't respond. Because when someone says that after 90-hour weeks, what they really mean is, I didn't think you'd call it out. He kept going. Leadership is asking questions now about hours, about turnover. About why people are burnt out right after record revenue. I nodded. Good, I said. He looked tired, not overworked, tired, exposed, tired. They're restructuring, he admitted. New workload caps. Mandatory comp reviews after major quarters, HR oversight on hours. I leaned back. So the voucher was cheaper than the reforms, I said. He didn't laugh. 3 months after I left. Vanguard hired 4 new analysts, 2 quit within 6 months. One exit interview used the phrase institutionalized burnout. That phrase made it all the way to the board. Connor didn't get fired, but he didn't get promoted either. He was quietly moved sideways, strategic initiatives, no direct reports, no visibility, corporate purgatory. Turns out, leadership doesn't like managers who turn talent into liabilities. I landed somewhere better. Not louder, not flashier, better. A company that actually understands this radical idea: if you pay someone for 40 hours and get 80, that's not hustle, that's a leadership failure. I work hard now, but I also sleep. I eat dinner without checking my phone. My heart doesn't try to escape my chest at 2 a.m. and nobody has ever handed me a coupon and called it appreciation. Here's what people miss about stories like this. This wasn't revenge. Revenge is loud, messy, temporary. This was clarity. I didn't yell, I didn't threaten, I didn't beg, I just showed the math. And once the math is visible, you can't unsee it. If you're watching this and thinking, this sounds familiar, that's my job, I've gotten my own version of that voucher, let me say this clearly: you are not ungrateful. You are not dramatic. You are not weak. You're just doing the math. And once you see it, you don't owe anyone silence. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't quitting loudly. It's walking away clean with receipts and letting the truth do the damage.